in the kitchen.
Hi, my name is Dilla Barman. I'm in Durham, North Carolina. Welcome to So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. Those of you who've been watching us for a long time, we've been around for more than 5 years. And a couple of years ago, we decided we do these monthly whole food, plant-based vegan shows. And we decided during the holidays, you're busy and we're busy too. So this is a rebroadcast. We've curated today, I guess, 4 dishes. We'll be showing them to you again. I'm here live right now and just kicking it off, and then I'll stay here. The show is about half an hour. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them during the show. And then we have one more rebroadcast in December. We thought we would do this one the Monday before Thanksgiving if you're looking for any last-minute Thanksgiving ideas. So some of you may know I host the country's biggest vegan Thanksgiving, so I'm ready for my Thanksgiving. We have hundreds and hundreds of people coming. Come some year, trianglevegSociety.org has the details. We have people from many states and even a few people from Canada who come. So we'd love to have you come to our Thanksgiving. So again, the show today is not live. I'm live, and I'll be taking any questions during our half-hour show. We're going to start with my kamut mushroom stew. I love kamut. It's from our Ancient Grains show. I love how it cooks. It's nice and chewy and gives you a nice mouthfeel. And with the mushrooms, it's a delicious stew. I should make it again. And then Cody will be cooking her garlic roasted fingerlings, potatoes, really delicious. Susanna is going to be making pumpkin pie. A lot of people this week probably are making pumpkin pies. And finally, Janin is making pumpkin spice pudding. All of these we've shown before. We're just going to rebroadcast them. Live, what I'm doing is I've never made it before. I'm making a pumpkin chili, and it's well underway. And right after the show, I'm going to do final preparations and serve my family a pumpkin chili. I bet it's going to be really good. So with that, again, I'm here. Feel free to ask any questions. And again, what we're showing are pre-recordings. We're busy. You're busy. We'll get back to live shows in January. We haven't set the theme yet. If you have any ideas of what you'd like to see, send us a note or comment on Facebook or on YouTube. And then those shows will be live, and we will have giveaways. We always have a giveaway on our live shows. So with that, I'm going to press play, and please share any questions that you may have. A few questions have come in. Hello to Kate, and hello to Megan. We're glad to see you. So let me press play, and please post any questions. Enjoy the show.
So many cooks in the kitchen.
My name is Dilla Barman in North Carolina. Welcome. Whether this is the first time for you or you're a regular, welcome. We just celebrated our 5th anniversary. We've been doing these shows every month since May 2020. We are a group of Physicians Committee Food for Life instructors. We all teach Food for Life classes. These are classes which are evidence-based, and they show us how to stay healthy. And if you have certain conditions you're concerned with, diabetes, certain kinds of cancer, blood pressure, you're an athlete and you want to optimize your diet, we have classes for each of these and many other topics. We have topics for children as well. And today I'm going to be working with kamut. So kamut is also called Khorasan. So Khorasan wheat, I think Khorasan literally means wheat in Egyptian. So this is what it looks like. This is the raw Khorasan. You can see it looks, I guess, a little bit like a really thick brown rice. It's not brown rice, but it looks a little bit like that. And this is prepared to go. I pressure cooked it, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. We have lots of good recipes today. Mine is a soup or a stew, and it's using mushrooms and Khorasan, the kamut, and little else. I have some other ideas. Kale, for example, goes great with this. And kale and kamut are a nice combination because the kamut makes the nutrients even more bioavailable. This is kamut is a great source of fiber. One serving of 3/4 of a cup of cooked kamut has about 4 grams of fiber. It's a good source of iron. I love the texture. Nutrient-wise, they also have calcium, selenium, magnesium, and zinc. So let's get going with this dish. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you more about the grain, but I'm going to first, in the interest of time, turn my pan on. I'm using a high-quality stainless pan, which is what I always do. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it on, medium-low, and I'm going to add my garlic. You should have an ingredients document, a link to the ingredients document. I'm going to add some garlic. Okay, and I'm going to add some carrot. Now this carrot is gorgeous. This is a purple carrot. I don't know if you can see how beautiful it is. The hint with this is you want to cut it fairly thin, at most 1/4 inch. And I like it a little bit, to have a little bit of chunk with it. If you want it soft, then what you can do is you can parboil it. And the trick for that is you put it in boiling water for 2 or 3 minutes. And then after that, you put it in a bowl of ice water. And that stops the cooking. And that softens the carrot. But I like the chunk in this, so I'm just going to cook it for a minute or so. Okay. Now, how did I prepare the corazon, the kamut? Is what I did is I put this in about 3 times as much liquid. I used some vegetable broth, and I think it was half vegetable broth and half water. And I soaked this overnight. The soaking isn't essential, but it enhances the cooking. And then what I did is I pressure cooked for 22 minutes, and I let it come to a natural release. You can also stovetop cook it, and I have the instructions in the recipe, but I pressure cooked it. And then what you do is it's ready to go. If you're going to use it soon, then that's fine. But if you're going to use it sometime later, then you want to decant all of the liquid, which I did. It's in this bowl. And hang on to it because that's your broth. There's no reason not to use that. Okay? But if I'm going to let this sit overnight, this might get the grain to be a little bit too soft. So that's why I decanted it. But this is just from yesterday's cooking. I did this last night, overnight pressure cooking. So I'm cooking the garlic and carrot until the garlic is nice and fragrant. And I can smell it. The garlic smells really good. Be careful to stay on low-medium. You don't want to add too much heat, and you don't want to burn the pan either. If you do cook the berries, these wheat berries, these kamut berries, stovetop, it can take 40 to 60 minutes, and it can take even longer. What I do is I haven't done it, but what I've read people do is you cook it partially covered, and after about 35, 40 minutes, just sample it. And if it's soft enough, then you're good to go. A downside of kamut is it used to be easier to find, at least locally here in North Carolina. I had trouble. I wanted to make this dish, and I haven't made kamut in a little while. So I went to the store and I realized they don't, at least right now they weren't selling it, so I had to buy this online. So this might be a little bit hard to find locally, but you should be able to find it online. While this is cooking, I wanted to mention I also prepped, let me show you the purple carrot. I'm using a purple carrot, and you can see the cross-section of it is just gorgeous. It looks beautiful. And it smells, it smells and tastes really good. I love purple carrot. Raw, it's just delicious. I ate some of this as I was prepping. Other ingredients that are notable is, I'm using mushroom, and what I did is I actually, just for convenience, got frozen mushroom. You need about 10 ounces of the mushroom. You can use a little bit less. And in the store, the mushroom they had when I shopped was not great, so I thought I'd get the frozen, organic. Nice thing about frozen is it's washed and ready to go, clean and ready to go. What else is interesting here? So I love garlic when I buy garlic. This is one, I didn't use this one. I like when it's already cracked, so it's easy to open. No unusual spices. I am using some thyme. Sage goes even better with this, but I was out of sage. Okay, and you can optionally use a little bit of salt, black pepper. Okay, I am smelling some nice garlic here, and the carrot is cooking down. It's not cooking down, but it's cooking. It's still reasonably firm, and that's okay because the soup, this will be firm. And again, suit your preference. If when you eat this dish and you want the carrot to be really soft, parboil it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to call that success, and now I'm going to make my dish nice and thick like a soup. I'm just going to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So we're using the camu berries. We're using some broth. This is what it cooked in. And then I roasted a bell pepper. Again, I've done this a number of times in the past. So I took this pepper and I flame roasted it. And in the interest of time, I did that in advance. I let it sit for a while, and I put it under cold running water, and I caressed it, and much of the char came off, and then I just chopped it. You can optionally add some white beans to this. So white beans add a very nice nutrient boost to it, but I thought for today's dish, especially with it getting warmer, I thought it'd be nice to have a simple dish, right? So you don't have to have beans and everything, but white beans go great with this. Kale goes really well with this too, but I decided to omit the kale. And that's about it. I'm excited about using this paprika. A good friend of mine, her name is Janet. If you're watching, Janet, hello. Thank you so much. Janet brought this back. She went to Hungary a couple of weeks ago, and she brought paprika, and she brought regular paprika, and she got a sweet paprika, which I haven't opened yet. I've never had sweet paprika. I wonder what that's going to be like. Do you see how the carrot is glistening? This is saying, Dilla, let's keep going. I'm ready. I'm sweating. I'm ready to make the soup. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to look at my notes to make sure I didn't forget anything. I am going to add the. If I didn't flame roast the pepper, I'd add the pepper now. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add my broth. Okay, so here comes the broth. And you can, and what I'm going to do right away is, I didn't get any sticking, but just to be sure, I'm going to do a little rub in here. Okay, and I'm going to add basically the other ingredients. I'm going to start with the mushroom because it's frozen. That's the only reason to give it a head start in warming up. So here's my 10 ounces of mushroom. I think it's a little heavy for this dish, but that's okay. We'll have a lot of mushrooms in here. You can go with 8 ounces, but I decided to, the frozen bag was 10 ounces, and I said, I'll just use it all up. But this is a lot of mushroom. And I'm going to add the camu berries. Here they are. So they go in. I cooked these overnight, and by now they're cool. They're not warm, so I refrigerated them. So all I'm doing now is I'm letting the wheat berries warm up. That's all. I'm not cooking them. Okay, and then I'm going to add the bell pepper, the roasted bell pepper, and it's basically done. I'm going to be adding some spices too. I'm going to mix that in. It's looking pretty promising, isn't it? It's a tasty, hearty, easy soup. I'm going to be adding some lemon juice. Just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So you want to bring it back to boil. This is where, if you're using cooked beans, you'd add the cooked beans, and you'd add the kale. What I'd do with the kale is I'd wash the kale, I'd hand strip it from the stem, I'd compost the stems or use it in a smoothie, and then I would hand rip the kale into, half-inch, three-quarter-inch pieces, 1-inch pieces. It's going to cook down, and add it, okay? If you want a little extra flavor, you can add some mint leaves if you want. It doesn't need it, though, okay? That's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it come to a boil. Ancient grains are great. I hope the recipes we're presenting today, I hope that you'll try some or all of them. Make it your own. Make changes. I like it really chunky. I called this, I think, a stew. And when I was kind of perfecting this recipe, I used less broth, and it's more stew-like, but I knew a lot of people like it a little bit more soupy. So the amount of broth you add is up to you. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some spices. I'm going to add the paprika. Okay? So here goes the paprika. You can use smoked paprika if you'd like. I'm using this, and I have suggested quantities. I'm putting extra paprika in because this paprika is really good. This paprika isn't too spicy, so it's quite good. And then here comes the thyme. Okay, let's add some thyme. A little bit goes a long way. You know, when you use dried herbs, they're equivalent to about 3 times as much fresh. Let's add a little bit of black pepper. You don't want to add too much black pepper with the paprika, so I'll add a little bit. And then lemon juice really helps. When I was working on this recipe, I didn't have lemon juice initially, and I said, this is really good, but something's missing, and it's lemon juice. So I squeezed some fresh lemon. You can use lime. Lime is great. Meyer lemon's great. You can use tangerines too. I'm really sad it's June, so triple cross season. I'm a big fan of tangerines, triple cross tangerines. They're long gone, but there's still some tangerines in the market. What am I forgetting? Oh, garlic salt, garlic powder, or garlic salt. We add a little garlic powder. Okay, and then finally, this is optional. Some people want to restrict their salt consumption, so I'm going to use some sea salt. And in this case, it's not an iodized salt. So be careful when you do use salt. Make sure you have a source of iodized salt. So if you use salts like this that are not iodized, it's okay once in a while, but make sure that you are using, if you are using salt, that your typical salt is an iodized one. So you don't need the salt. I'm adding a little bit. The salt really brings out the flavors in lots of things, and especially in the soup. It's really nice. Just before showtime, I was actually eating some of the wheat berries plain. It was certainly good, but with some salt and seasonings, it's even better. So let's call that success. I'm going to get a ladle. Here we go. Okay, so let's give it a try. You can see how rich it looks. In the interest of the show, that's why I'm serving it now. But at home, you know, when you simmer ingredients, they develop more and more flavor. This dish will be really even better left over. You know, I'll refrigerate it, and the next day or two serve it again, and it's going to be even better because all the flavors will get to meet each other, become friends, and really meld together. Okay? So there we go. Let's give it a try. So there's my ancient grain soup. The mushrooms go great with it. I love the texture of the grain. It's delicious. I love how the mushroom mixes in with the grain. The pepper adds its own flavor. A little bit of kale would have been nice. I think you'll like it. The paprika's kicking in. Easy, nutritious soup. I hope you'll give it a try.
So welcome everybody to my home in Omaha, Nebraska. I am Cody Stubbe, and today I'm going to share with you one of my family's favorite recipes is garlic roasted potatoes. I also call them fingerlings, that you'll see that on the recipe, but really fingerlings just kind of mean smaller potatoes. And potatoes are really a great source of potassium. And so what you're going to do to get started is you're going to do a pot of water, and you're going to put 1 to 2 packages of your potatoes in there. And you're going to boil it and cook those potatoes for probably about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. It kind of depends on the size of the potatoes. And then you're going to check it with a fork. And if it's just fork tender, you're going to go ahead and pull it off the stovetop, drain the water. And then what you can do then is pour the potatoes onto a baking sheet, let them cool about 5 to 10 minutes. And then you're going to take a knife and you're just going to slice them in half. Now, if you have any of the potatoes that are just a little bit bigger, sometimes I cut those into quarters. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take those potatoes, which look like this then. See how they're nice and halved? And if you cook them too long, the peelings will start coming off and they get a little bit too mushy. So that's why I try just kind of watch them, and when they get fork tender to pull them off. All right, so you have your potatoes. And these are the yellow potatoes, but you could do, there's different varieties of them. There's ones that have more of like that beautiful purple color, and the girls really like those too. Those are a fun variety to mix in. And so you got your potatoes, just like such. And then you're going to take these gorgeous little sweet peppers, and they come in a nice little package, and you rinse them off, and then you slice them on up. And you're going to put them all in here as such. And then what I like to do next is take about a tablespoon of mustard seed. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. So about a tablespoon. You can do more or less. Like with any recipe, it's just a guideline. It's kind of whatever you like. Now you can either use fresh garlic, mince it, and then probably about 3 cloves worth. If you love garlic, you can do more than that. If you're not a huge garlic fan, then maybe 1 clove. All right, so you can mince that up, put it in here. For tonight, I'm just going to use garlic powder. And I'm going to do about a teaspoon. There we go. And then some sweet paprika is always fun. I love paprika. And then probably about a teaspoon of this. It's kind of fun. It brings a beautiful color. I might add just a little bit more. All right. And then salt and pepper to taste. So I like to sprinkle just a little bit in there. Now, if you've ever tried smoked salt, this is a fun recipe to put that on. And I'm just going to toss some of that in there. Now, if you use salt, make sure you get iodized salt. There we go. And some people do salt-free, and that's totally fine. You can leave it salt-free too. And then I'm just going to mix it up. And look at the beautiful color. Now, I was thinking that, this is kind of a fun recipe that you could add in like fresh chopped rosemary, because rosemary is good in a lot of recipes. And it's kind of more of a heartier herb, so it would probably roast up pretty nicely with this. But I'm not going to do that for today's recipe. Today, I'm just going to leave it as such. But it smells delicious. The garlic and those peppers, the paprika, of course, and the potatoes. So that's how it looks right now. What I'm going to do is put it on a baking sheet. Now, what I like to do is use like some kind of a liner. So parchment paper is great, or a silicone mat is wonderful as well. And if you don't have either, tin foil works good too. And I'm just going to spread this out here. All right. There. Just kind of went up 1 layer thick. And if you see like a big potato that you missed, you can just cut it in half again. What we're looking for is just to kind of get these roasted up and browned on the edges a little bit. And it's going to be delicious. You could also add in like maybe onions. That would be really good in this. So that's what it looks like before. And I'm going to be putting this into an oven that's preheated at about 400 degrees. And I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. I cook it for about 10 to 20 minutes. So just kind of have to check it. You don't want your peppers to get burnt completely. It's nice to get a little bit of a tinge on it, a little bit of browned edges, because that makes it kind of crispy and delicious. But oh my goodness, you guys, look at these peppers. So good. And the kids love it. I'm very much looking forward to eating this today.
My name is Susanna Dickman, and I'm from Evansville, Indiana. And you can follow me on eatplantsbewell.com to find out the journey my family and I took to become plant-based and what led me to become a Food for Life instructor. Today, I'm going to make my favorite holiday dessert, and that is pumpkin pie. I'm so excited with this recipe because it is just easy, and I really like to make things easy. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to pour in some milk, and you can use any kind of plant-based milk. I've been into oat milk because I've been making my own, and I like to just make a double batch, and then I put it in little cupcake tins and freeze it. And then I just have it. And when I need milk for baking, I just thaw it out, and there it is. I'm going to put in, this has a combination of cornstarch, baking powder, salt, and pumpkin pie spice. And then I am going to put in the pumpkin puree. Now, I used canned pumpkin today, but you could use, you can see my little pie pumpkins here. I like to buy pie pumpkins at the beginning of the season, and then I will bake them just like a squash, and I will process in the food processor to make the puree smooth, and then I will freeze them so that if I want to make pumpkin muffins or pumpkin pie, during the year, I've got my pumpkin already frozen and already pureed, and it freezes well and it's so easy to thaw out. All right, I'm going to process this for a little bit before I add my other ingredients. Oops. All right, there we go. Let me tell you. All right, now I'm going to add some brown sugar. And this pie is a crustless pie, so it can be made gluten-free. And this one is going to be made gluten-free because I'm going to use rice flour, brown rice flour. You could use whole wheat flour if you don't have brown rice flour, but I like the brown rice flour in it, so I add that. The last thing I'm going to add is a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay. And then I'm going to process it again, and that will be it. No crust, but it really comes together. When you see the pie that I have finished, it really comes together in a nice form, and it's going to be firm. So let me cross that both. Make sure. All right, that should do it. And then it is done. And all I need to do is pour it in my pan. Let me move all my things over. Okay. There's my pie. To go along with this, today I'm going to make a macadamia nut whipped cream. I know macadamia nuts are more, they're probably one of the highest fattiest nuts. But again, this is for a holiday, so we're going to put that on. I also like to make my own ice cream. I make ice cream with coconut milk, and I will use sometimes date sugar as a sweetener, brown sugar, brown rice syrup. But the pie is done. This is going to go in the oven for about an hour. And this is a dessert best made the day before. You want it to sit in the refrigerator overnight. Here you can see my finished product. All right. I'm going to make the macadamia nut whipped cream right now, but there is my pie. And what I love is it won't stick. I don't have to use parchment paper. I never put oil down in my pan, and it will come out just so easily. So let me move my food processor over, and we will make some of the macadamia nut whipped cream, which is very, very easy. Oops, I unplugged the wrong way. Okay, move that over. All right, so I'm going to use my Vitamix for this, but macadamia nuts are not that hard, so you can use just a regular blender. I did soak them for about an hour before I wanted to do this, just because it makes them a little bit softer. So I'm going to put those in. I'm going to put in a little bit of water. I'm going to use maple syrup as my sweetener. You can use agave nectar. You could, since you're going to be blending it, you can use something like date sugar, but I find maple syrup is just easy. And then again, I'm going to use just about a quarter teaspoon of vanilla. And then I'm going to process this, and it just tastes so good. After you process it, you want to taste it. And if you want it sweeter, you can add a little bit more maple syrup. It's up to you. All right, let me check it out and see how it looks. Oh, it looks perfect. Okay. Um, Let me go ahead and put it in my bowl, and then we will put it on our pie and yum. Okay. I haven't tasted it to see how sweet it is, but I've been averaging the 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Again, I don't like things too sweet. And that's what I love about this pie. It has only a half a cup of brown sugar, so it's not overly sweet. I'm really not um I don't know, since becoming plant-based, I find sometimes fruit is what that sweetness that I crave. But you can see how nice this looks, and so I'm just going to put a plop on my pie here, maybe a little bit more of a plop. But I hope you will try this pumpkin pie. Whenever I make this in classes, it always is a favorite.
My recipe is a pudding as well. It doesn't require much cooking except for the pecans. And I used a canned pumpkin puree this time. It's got nothing but pumpkins. And so here we go. Please remember the recipes are online in our recipe booklet. No, here we go. The you mix basically all the ingredients ahead of time. The pumpkin puree, the plant-based milk. I used vanilla flavored almond this time because I couldn't find vanilla extract to add to my pudding, but you can do without vanilla or however you wish. Some maple syrup, your chia seeds, a tablespoon of almond butter, or I found cashew butter. It had less ingredients. Basically, it's 100% cashew, so I prefer that one to the other one that had a lot of other things added. And that's it. You put, of course, your pumpkin spice, which I have very little left. I couldn't find it, so I added some cinnamon and ginger and so on. So you add everything, you mix it well together, and you put it in the fridge, and your pudding makes itself overnight. You can put your pudding, as I have done, in a larger container and dish it out the next day, or you can use ready to use jars. If you had dished it out night before in these, they would be ready for you the next day to use. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I had in these lovely jam jars, which I often use for my overnight oats or also for this recipe, and it looks pretty. So the next day you just open it up, mix it a bit, and then do your toppings. Now over here on the stove top, I have my pecans. They are gonna toast for a few minutes, and that's the tricky one. You put your pecans on the pan, and you toast them for about 2-3 minutes. I've been toasting them before getting online, so they are already warmed up. And a few minutes into you cooking them, they start smelling of pecans. Your whole kitchen starts smelling them, and that's sort of your sign that they're done. So at that moment is when you add your maple syrup, and you just toast them a little bit more. Mine are beginning to smell nice. Um, In the meantime, I'll also tell you that today I made some aquafaba whipped cream, and I also have some coconut yogurt. So we're gonna try both toppings, and again, to your liking. Coconut, of course, gives you a lot more flavor, perhaps, but a lot of fat as well, because coconut milk has quite a lot of fat, and that's the only kind I could find in my supermarket here was this coconut yogurt with vanilla flavor. And I happened to have aquafaba because I had just cooked chickpeas, so I whipped it up. And this is your less fatty alternative, and it's still not as good. So here I pecans. I put some maple syrup, and this is a non-stick pan, so make sure you use a non-stick pan. And you can, you are here, you can smell and hear the sizzling. And it's at this moment that you put your pumpkin spice mix and give it another stir. Oh my gosh, if you could only smell it. We need to work on this technology to get you all the smell. And your pecans are done. They look lovely, shiny, amazing. Here we go. But I'm going to leave this aside. I just wanted to show you how it's done. It's so easy. At this stage, you take them out and put them on a plate to cool them off, as I have done previously. You can see them here. They're crunchy and chewy and yummy. So, this lovely pudding is ready to be dished. I'm going to use these cute little things. I'm going to dish it out onto my cute little, and I'm going to make two because I want to taste test the yogurt versus the aquafaba. So here it is. Oh, my husband is sadly jealous. One of them has more, one of them has less. So here we go. You have your lovely pudding. You had made it overnight, so on the day of Thanksgiving, your hands are free making your dessert. Coconut milk. Ooh, that's a big dog. Aquafaba whipped cream. I guess you could be more generous with that since it's less. And then you put your, be careful, they're sticky, caramelized pecans. Now this recipe is, of course, as always, very nutritious. Without the adding of the yogurt and the rather fatty pecans, it's very healthy with the pumpkin puree and the, my hands are so sticky now. Here we go. The pumpkin is full of vitamins and minerals as well. The chia seeds and the vegetable milk, which is not so bad. I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here. It's also both the pumpkin puree and the chia seeds are full of fiber. So if anybody is in need of increasing their fiber, chia seeds are an excellent way to get your fiber. Chia seeds are also an excellent way to get your complete proteins. Of course, you don't eat too much of it, but you can add it to your overnight oats or other things.
So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.